I'm not sure whether the president has arrived, but it does look like the president is making his way to that particular stadium. The podium is actually there, and he's just arrived, and he'll be taken to the podium in about 25 minutes from now. Let's now dip in. Let's take some of these live pictures there.
It's supposed to be Mariana no kugetia mabakulisa. When it's actually dated stuff, it's on air. There's a group that can
Sifuna more space la, ne? Kanje, yeah. Ngizozuma in. Guys, if I go premium, all the premium, now people behind you.
The keynote address at this year's Women's Day celebrations in Vryburg in the Northwest, President Cyril Ramaphosa has just arrived at the venue and he's now doing a walkabout, and he was met with loud cheers from the women who are attending this particular event, and will be taken to the podium any minute from now. I mean, the Women's Day is a very, very important and a significant day in South Africa's political and social calendar. And I'm wondering if women do understand and acknowledge the enormous power that they wield. Are they using such power to change their world? I mean, we all know that they are met with the punishment of being born female. We've seen this playing out in the political space, in business, in sport, and particularly in sport. We've seen so many calls for pay parities of female and male sportsperson, particularly in Banyana Banyana and Bafana Bafana. We've seen huge and alarming and absolutely diabolical pay disparities when it comes to female and male soccer people. And I'm just going to read an excerpt of a letter that Sophie Williams de Bruyn, one of the last women leaders of that march that took place 63 years ago this day to the union buildings. Well, she says in part that, the government has a role to play, and as the African National Congress does internally, its government should also ensure that the 50-50 rule not only applies to political positions, but should also be seen in senior positions in the government. How can it still be that, she asked, in this day and age, a government department has a male director general and 4 of his 5 deputy directors general are men? How can it be that in this day and age, you walk into a boardroom dominated by men? We have prayed and hoped for 25 years that things would change. They did not. It is time the government looked at what is within its means to protect and advance the position of women across sectors and to defend their place therein. And I guess as a starting point, we need to keep this issue on the agenda until meaningful change has, of course, been effected. We need practical solutions which can be implemented and utilized by women in the fight against patriarchy. And as long as the patriarchal value system remains in existence, it will definitely mitigate against the advancement and the progress and the participation of women in the transformation of our economy and our nation as a whole. Radical economic transformation, as has been widely talked about, without the full inclusion and empowerment of women is totally unsustainable. I mean, the economic empowerment of women is a prerequisite, I would say, for reducing poverty in our country and dismantling patriarchy. And the face of poverty in Africa, particularly in South Africa, is still the black woman. That needs to come to an end. And, it's such days where we reflect and look back at the importance of, the women's rights in South Africa and the gains that the country has made towards embracing and protecting those rights. Live visuals there coming from Vryburg Stadium, and President Cyril Ramaphosa is still making that a walkabout. And according to the program, he'll be making his keynote address at exactly 12 o'clock midday.
Let's go to this place to this side. What's the corner there? He's coming there. What's the corner? See, don't want to get NYDA among them. NYDA. How can you move away because of
This year, this day, 63 years ago, 20,000 women plus took to the streets and headed to the union buildings to protest against the discriminatory past laws. And, their works, their efforts, their sweat will definitely will not be in vain. And as we take control of our destiny, essentially, we should be inspired by those that have led before us, including Albertina Sisulu, Helen Joseph, Ruth First, Phyllis Naidu, Victoria Mxenge, and Charlotte McClurkin. And we really commend these women patriots who took up the fight for freedom and carried the banner high. Lillian Ngoyi, Rahima Musa, Sophia Williams de Brain, Francis Bard, Dorothy Nyembe, Rachel Alexander Simmons, Fatima Mir, and Hilda Benstein. These women were fearless and relentless in their pursuit for freedom, and their spirit will always live on. I mean, they'll go down in the annals of history for their unmatched and their remarkable contributions to the liberation struggle. And we owe our freedom to these women. These are the women of this country. They are the women of substance. They bore the brunt of brutal violations and economic hardships, yet they remained resolute. They remained committed and steadfast in their drive. I mean, I've got great admiration for the courage and the strength and unity that these women possessed. And, well, despite the journey still ahead of us, their victories are ours to celebrate and be encouraged. These women made significant strides in the attainment of an equal society for both men and women. But then I guess the question remains, do we really have an equal society? Is the issue of inequality being addressed? Because it is so blatant. The writing is blatantly on the wall over the widening gaps of inequality when it comes to political participation of women, when it comes to the remuneration of women in the corporate space, because women are paid 25% less than men, no matter how much they are qualified. And, 23 years on from the attainment of our democracy, this is yet to become a reality. It is achievable with commitment, with persistence, with a buy-in from the government, with buy-in from non-governmental organization, with buy-in from women activists. Patriarchal mentalities can and will be shifted and threshed at some point. But we should also remember the heroines of the past: Rahima Musa, Helen Joseph, Sophia de Bruyn. These women, they remain committed until they reached their resolve. Now, government must be in a position now to sort of assess the progress of the emancipation, of the advancement, and most importantly, the protection of women in our society. And this kind of responsibility rests with us. It rests with everyone, every patriotic citizen, and as it does with men and women, it is a call which all men must heed: husbands, fathers, brothers, uncles, political actors, etc., etc. Boys must be sensitized and taught to respect the rights of women from a very, very young age. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa is still doing that walkabout. Yeah, in that hall, and any minute from now he'll be taking to the podium. And we certainly hope that he will be addressing a myriad of issues affecting women, and because women still remain subordinate and inferior. As I mentioned earlier on, they are still met with the punishment of being born female, and we've seen this playing out in the political space, in business, and it is therefore our collective responsibility to change the social constructs of patriarchy and stand up for what it truly means. And it is only once we appreciate the importance of supporting and encouraging the growth and the emancipation and the empowerment of our women that we can declare that the people of South Africa are indeed free. Because now there's a very, very fine line between whether we are free or not. Doesn't matter whether economically free or political free, but when it comes to the emancipation and the embracing and the uplifting of the rights of our women, and because they are the cornerstone of our democracy. People like Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Rahima Musa, Helen Joseph, I mean, we hold these women in high state and in high regard, and are icons. And the founding father of the country, Or Tambo, said, "No country can boast of being free unless its women are free." All right, we'll certainly be dipping into the live visuals of that event. President Cyril Ramaphosa will be making his address, I understand, in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Let's now go back there now.